Hi everyone. Today we learn something fun in Python called variables. So we'll think of variables like labeled boxes where we can store information. I have a slide here that can visually show how a variable looks like. So a variable is like a container. You have this box and the box has number 10 inside and the box is labeled age. So when you open, it means like the age of this kid is 10 years old. So that's what we mean by variables. So how do we initialize or declare a variable? Variables in Python are declared the moment you assign a value to it. So we'll say that we want to declare a variable or initialize of declaring a variable. For example, greetings equals to hello world as a string of variable. Age equals to 10. The equal sign does not mean that in mathematics like it is equal to 10. It means you are assigning a value. This value is assigned to a variable called age, meaning that age will hold 10 as the age of the kid. As I said, variable are like a box or a container to store information. So why do we use variables? So variables will help us store data. We use it again later, change or update it. We avoid repeating the same number or word, make programs smart and flexible. So how to create variables? Variables are created in this format. How to create variables? We can say name equals to value. So that's how we create variables. For example, we have a variable name which equals to this value. The value can be a string, a number, a boolean. We'll talk about different types of variables in a few. Like for example, now we have a variable called name equals to Luna. That's an example of a variable. We also have age equals to 10. That's also an example of a variable. We can also have is happy equals to true. That's also an example of a variable. So as we move, we have rules for naming variables. Variables can contain letters, they can contain numbers, but not at the start. Can also use underscore. Valid examples of variables like student name, this is what we call a snake case. Age, 2, is valid. Then we also have invalid examples like two names. So this cannot be a variable name. We cannot start with a number. My name, it cannot be named like this. Favorite color, it cannot have a space in between. So the picture explains how variables rules are supposed to be applied. Well, now after that, we can talk about variable data types. So we have different types of variables, and we have string. So we'll talk about variable data types. We have string, like name equals to Luna. We have age equal to 10 as an integer. We have a boolean, is happy equals to true or false. We have height 5.6 as a float. And then we have a list of items like apple, banana, cherry, which is fruit put in square brackets. We have name, Luna, age, and in form of a dictionary. So that's how we have different types of variable types. The list can be able to show, the pictures can be able to visualize that for a better understanding. We can also talk about how we do update variables. For example, when you say age equals to age, let me do something else. When you say age equals to 10, the next time you come, you say age equals to 11. So that's an updated updated age. So it will overwrite that particular variable. So we scroll down, we have different ways of assigning variable, like multiple assignment of variables, like xyz equals to 1, 2, 3. That's a multiple. You have a equals to b equals to c equals to 0, which will mean a equals to 0, b equals to 0, and c is equals to 0. We also have what we call dynamic typing. Dynamic typing. Dynamic typing, like variable, I am a string, and then we also have variable 42, which is now an integer, and also we have variable 1, 2, 3, which is now a list. So that's a called dynamic way of assigning, like writing variables. So we can also go and talk about checking a variable type. So how do we check a variable type? Checking variable types, like for example, print type name, which is a string, print type age, and we're talking about this one. It will print name, it will print age for that particular. The picture shows more. So sometimes we can also talk about getting input from users, where we key in getting input variables. We say print greetings, uh, and then greetings, it will print this particular hello world because we are telling it to print greetings. Um, we have variable scope, different ways of accessing variable. So we'll talk about variable scope. We have global variables and local variables. For example, we can say a global variable, I am global, and then we want to define and call that particular, and then we also have local variable. So this global variable that we can call it in different location. For example, there's a function called local variable equals to I am local. We can print output I am local, and then we can also print global variable that I am global. So by local, it means imagine being in a house. So within the house, you can be able to access a particular room or open windows and get air inside. When you go outside, you access the global from outside. So variables can be accessed inside a house or outside a house. So when it's accessed inside a house, it's local. When we access outside the house, it's global. So that's what we mean by global and local variables. So I'll just finalize by talking about good practices of variables like clear names, lowercase plus underscore, avoid confusing names, we stay consistent, and then some of the common mistake or bad ways of declaring variables or using variables. We forget quotes for strings, for example, case sensitive like capital, for example, uh, banana and banana. Here you can say I am a yellow banana. So what we mean is that this is a case sensitive. These are different types of variables. Two different types of variables. So this is a variable and this one are not the same. but if it's age and age, it's the same. And in this instant, we mean that we are overwriting a variable. So in summary, we can say that a variable is a container that stores a data or a value, and variables are case sensitive. And as well, we can say variables can be accessed locally or globally. We can also say the variables have different dynamic typing, as you can see, and we also have different data types that are used in variables. Like for a string, if it's a name, using this quotation. For an integer, like a whole number, 10. For a true or false, which call a boolean. And for assigning decimal or float numbers. For listing, and for also having a dictionary like this one. So thank you for staying tuned. We'll meet next time.